Alright folks, we're nearing the end of Paradise, and that means it's time for couples to get serious. Soon, Chris Harrison is going to walk down those steps and tell everyone if they're not committing themselves to someone, it's time to hit the bricks. This is Endgame, people.
We're in the Endgame now.
So that means no more exploring other relationships, no more I'm just here to have fun. It's time for couples to make a decision, stay together or leave. Which means a lot of emotions to play out. And this preview is looking to prove that to be true. So let's take a look and see what we can figure out for week 6 of Bachelor in Paradise. Oh, and I'll leave a link to the full preview in the comment section below if you want to watch or follow along with me.
I'm a changed man.
Will Caelynn break Dean's heart?
It just really comes down to what you want to do.
Funny how Chris Harrison frames this, will Caelynn break Dean's heart, and not Dean comes back and messes with Caelynn's mind. I don't know about you, but it seems like only one of the two is feeling kind of messed up by this whole situation. Anyways, we left last episode on Dean's sudden return to Paradise, to ask for Caelynn back. Caelynn, though, is now with Connor, so she has a decision to make. Stay with someone more stable like Connor, or go with the riskier Dean, who had her heart from the beginning. Throughout the season, we, on this channel, have speculated Dean and Caelynn were going to end up together, as people on Instagram noticed Dean and Caelynn posting pictures of themselves in Europe, in the same places around the same time. Now, none of these pictures are of them together, but it's mighty suspicious that around the time Paradise filming could have ended, the two decided to take separate vacations to Europe. So it looks like Caelynn will be picking Dean next week. That being said, we speculated last week that the sudden departure Chris Harrison talked about was going to be Dean and Caelynn leaving together, but it turned out to be Derek. So we'll see if Dean's return means they're going to allow him back in Paradise to hand out roses. Either way, I put it at a 0% chance that these two get engaged at the end of this. I mean, come on. There's no way Dean is ready to get down on one knee anytime soon.
And then...
I'm the king of Paradise!
Paradise is coming to an end soon.
time is running out.
Time really is running out, meaning couples have to get serious, which John Paul Jones seems to be really taking to heart. The balloons and trays in the back seem to indicate that this could be a date with Tayshia. Also, you know, JPJ's super happy mood, which seems to always coincide with being around her. Couples showcased here are Angela and Chase. I put them at a low chance of leaving Paradise together. It's too late in the game for them. At best, they say, hey, let's go on a few dates outside of the show. Don't expect much more than that for now. Dylan and Hannah are definitely endgame. I would wager this is going to be the smoothest relationship in the episodes to come. Clay and Nicole seem back on track after all the Angela stuff. There's more to come from them ahead. And Chris and Katie, who it looks like are going to have some bumps in the road.
I think it's really gonna make everyone look deeper into the relationships.
You are selfish.
You run away every time something gets too real.
JPJ and Tayshia having a somber moment. Sleuthing from past breakdowns indicates they're still together after the show. See boat here, and same boat here. So this sad JPJ getting a hug doesn't necessarily mean they're breaking up. I wonder if JPJ and Tayshia have a talk about where they're at in their relationship with things coming to an end here in Paradise soon. It wouldn't surprise me if JPJ doesn't realize how much further ahead he is in the relationship, and that causes some trouble. Then there's Christina and Blake, which seems part fake out. Her saying you are selfish seems placed here. Now that doesn't mean she doesn't say it to Blake later on, but definitely that felt fishy. Of course, her saying you run away every time something gets too real is actually from this moment, and definitely feels like a plausible thing the two of them would be talking about in Endgame. With how sudden Blake's turn toward Christina was, and with all the rough history between the two, I can't imagine things playing super smooth for them in these last few days. At best, they leave Paradise to see how their relationship goes off screen. But that's being really optimistic. I don't have high hopes for this relationship.
And relationships are pushed to the brink.
This is torture.
Chris and Katie both tearing up. I don't see this as a breakup or anything. We speculated that this shot was Chris and Katie getting engaged. I imagine the two of them figuring out what exactly they want in a long-term relationship, and if they're ready to get engaged, is going to be a difficult and emotional process. Thus, you know, the difficult emotions on display.
I'm so uncomfortable with it. I don't want people to like stare and be like, oh my god, like they're kissing, like.
Demi very upset. This has to do with her being afraid of what people will say after seeing her in the fantasy suite with Christian. Coming out of the closet is a very difficult and personal thing, and it's different for each person. And this is coming out fully on a national scale. Because you can be out to your friends and family, but not to others like relatives outside your immediate family circle, people in your community, or your coworkers, for example. Look, I'm a straight dude, so I can't really speak to this experience. Go talk to someone who has done this and is willing to talk about it. Oh, and how do we know this is what she's upset about? This shot from a past preview.
I don't care who sees this. I know that I love this girl. I'm just so happy that I found her.
Looks like she's worried about what people will say, and then gets to a point where she's like, I don't care, I love this girl, fantasy suite time.
Who will find love?
I know for a fact deep down, I'm so ready for love, so ready for marriage.
These 3 shots here, Katie and Chris, Clay and Nicole, and Dylan and Hannah, are definitely from fantasy suite dates. If you're new to Paradise, at a certain point Chris Harrison will come in and say, okay, if you're not in a couple, you gotta go. If you are in a couple, you now have to make a decision. Break things off, leave Paradise together casually, or fully commit yourself and head on into the fantasy suite. Now if you're looking at this going, wait, why do we only see 3 couples here? Don't look too much into that. We can be certain Demi and Christian also get a fantasy suite date. For all we know, hey, every other couple could go to the fantasy suite, but they've only shown these 3 so far.
I'm in love with you.
I'm so in love with you.
I know I'm falling in love with you too.
And the I love yous are coming out. JPJ, of course, to Tayshia, which isn't much of a surprise with how head over heels crazy he's been towards her all season. But will Tayshia reciprocate? Certainly she's not as far along in her feelings with him as he is with her. And in possibly the least shocking event to ever happen in Paradise history, Dylan says he's in love with Hannah. We've also sleuthed out that this engagement shot is Dylan and Hannah based off of the bracelets they're wearing here. Check out my season preview video for details on that. Then there's Katie and Chris. The interesting thing of note here is Katie saying, I know I'm falling in love with you too, which would indicate that Chris is the first person to say I love you, or I'm falling in love with you. Now with the expectation that they're getting engaged, and with how things have been progressing for them on the show, it might not seem like that big of a deal to you. But I think it's pretty big. Mostly because, as we've seen midway through the season, it seems like Katie has been a little bit further along with things than Chris has. By that I mean Chris hasn't always been so sure if they were on the same page. So I feel like it will be a huge deal for Katie that Chris says it first. And all this crying stuff, looks like whatever that's about, likely figuring out what they both want out of this relationship, they're going to work through it.
Who will get engaged?
Oh my god! Yes!
And then...
the engagements. Now I'm treading carefully because we know there are some fake-outs thrown in here alongside real engagement shots. For example, we previously figured out that this shot here is actually from last year in Paradise where Jared proposed to Ashley. I say this because of this shot. It's new. And on first glance I thought, okay, who could this be? Maybe Christian and this is Demi? But there's not a lot of evidence to support that. One, we've seen this shot of Demi walking down the beach wearing this outfit. And if this was Demi getting down on one knee, yeah, not the same, nor does it feel like an outfit Demi would be wearing. Especially since this outfit and ring match up with this shot. So I can't imagine this is from the two of them getting engaged. Now, okay, let's narrow this down. We know it's not Dylan and Hannah. This is them. We know it's not JPJ and Tayshia, or Katie and Chris, or Clay and Nicole because of the overall whiteness of these two. She doesn't seem to be tan enough to be Angela or Christina, so I think we can rule out it being them and Chase or Blake. So, who's left, right? Luke and Haley? No way are they getting engaged. Matt Donald and Bree or Sydney? Connor and no one? I think the only option I'm looking at right now is that this is a producer fake-out.
I just don't want to lose you.
Whose heart will be crushed forever?
Demi here lamenting over not wanting to lose Christian, but I doubt that happens. Then her packing her bags here is definitely a fake-out. Everyone is going to be doing that at some point now that Paradise is almost over. Luke S. likely crying because nothing's going on for him. Then Tayshia really upset. It would seem like rough roads ahead for her and JPJ, but this doesn't necessarily mean a breakup.
Oh no. I'm sorry.
Wait, what's happening?
Sydney embraced by what appears to be Nicole and Tayshia, My guess is she gets sent home at a rose ceremony. Then, Tayshia really sorry to JPJ. Which means some sort of conversation about where they're both at in their relationship occurs, and things don't end well. It'll be interesting to see how this plays out, with the sleuthing seemingly indicating that the two are still together after Paradise.
Do you love me? Answer that right now.
Next week on Bachelor in Paradise.
And we finish with Nicole asking Clay if he loves her. So this is definitely on the beach at the final commitment ceremony where people get engaged. Will Clay say he loves her? At this point, your guess is as good as mine. Now, I do really doubt they get engaged, as with the whole Angela business still being fresh for Clay, I can't imagine he's ready for a lifetime commitment just yet. I love you is a couple of steps below that, so maybe he will say it, but Nicole having to ask him at this point in the show, right at the end, doesn't feel like a good sign either. So that's it for this Bachelor in Paradise Week 6 preview breakdown. We're in the endgame now, and it's time for couples to either ship up or ship out. And I can't wait to find out how it all goes down. So until then, Bachelor Fantake, out.
I'm the king of paradise!
Paradise is coming to an end soon.